Hey everybody, your host and chef Adrian Alvey here, and I'm excited to do, of course, one of the things I really enjoy doing the most, which is these cooking classes. I'm going to get right off to the start today because we have a lot to go over. We're going to talk about grilling, which is one of my favorite things to do, is grilling, because for me, just like many of you, grilling usually means a lot of time with family, really great activities together. And it means warmer weather, even though a lot of us grill throughout the year. But grilling in itself is an art that a lot of people really enjoy doing. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the art side of that, and we're going to talk about some basics and nuts and bolts about grilling and that kind of thing. So I'm really excited to get started. And we're going to do today, we have a few things on the menu, and I'm sorry, I'm going to try not to squint. The sun is kind of in there, so if I am, that's why. We're going to do steak, we're going to do shrimp, and we're going to do chicken, and we're going to do grilled corn on the cob and on the table there, and we're also going to do a grilled pineapple. I'm going to demo on cutting a pineapple as well. So if you can't hear me, let me know. There is a bit of a waterfall behind Jennifer there and some traffic in the background, so if you can't hear, let me know. So let's go ahead and get the things that are going to take the longest on the grill first. And of course, anytime you have any questions, go ahead and ask. I'm happy to answer what I can, okay? So first of all, what are grills? We have smoker, you hear Traeger a lot, and what are all these things? So I'm using a propane grill right now. It's warmed up to medium-high heat, and just like every grill, grills are kind of like cats, you know? They all have some certain things that all cats have in common, but each of them has sort of their own personality. And so grills are kind of the same way. They have spots that you find are a little warmer than others and a little cooler than others, and so you kind of get to know your grill a little bit, and it becomes a friend. And so you understand what the hot parts are and what the cool parts are, and how to cook different things based on how long they take. So we're going to start off with our corn on the cob. Now, a couple of ways to cook corn on the grill. You could do it with the husk on, or you could do it with the husk off. We're going to do it both ways tonight. Now, if it's husk on, and these have been soaking in water for about 10-15 minutes, and that gets on the husk nice and wet so that it doesn't burn. But that's been peeled back, and you see the silk has been removed, okay? So you peel that back and you remove the silk, and then you just replace that. And we're gonna put that on there, okay? And what you can actually do here is what we're gonna do is, I'm a really big fan of our the Save the Day Italian seasoning on the corn. I'm gonna go ahead and just put a little bit on right now. We'll season it and afterwards, but we'll get a little bit in there on both sides.
Is the corn itself a little damp too?
Well, the corn was soaked along with everything else, but
Okay.
corn doesn't absorb cold water very well. So that's why when you boil corn, then it expands. But cold water doesn't do very much for corn except it moisten it. But this husks will absorb it. And you're gonna see that a lot of these, part of these husks they're gonna look like they're really well cooked, but then we're gonna open it up, and inside it's gonna be a really nice, well done corn. The object on when you take the husk off then is what you want is a really nice grilled and charred corn that when you eat it, it has that a nice char flavor, not burnt, but char. It's a little bit different, and then well seasoned, and then with some butter on there, and it's gonna be fantastic. So I'm just gonna go ahead and plop that right on, and once that starts to, as that heats, it's gonna expand that corn a little bit, and it'll be more receptive to the butter and the seasonings that we're gonna put on there while it's cooking. All right, so I'm gonna get those cooking right now. We're going to talk about a little bit how smokers work. We're not using the smoker, but say, for example, the Traeger is a common brand of smoker, a pellet grill. You're going to use various, because just like the propane in here or the charcoal in a charcoal grill will add its own flavor. Propane doesn't add too much of its own flavor, but certainly charcoal will, and different types of wood have different sorts of flavors based on their smoke that they put off. And so the pellet stove then will take woods made from these different trees. Common ones are maple or mesquite, oak, apple, and those are just like the artist would use paint and a palette. The smoker then can take all these different flavors of wood and take all these different flavors of, say, seasonings, and take all these different kinds of food and blend them together in different ways, and then you can see you have an unlimited palette, and you can do basically anything you want to. So that's the art of smoking. And then the art of grilling is very, very similar, except we don't use wood, we're just using heat. And so you get to get as creative as you want with the seasonings that we have. 18 different seasoning blends that you can use on anything. So we could use any of our seasoning blends on any of these things. A bit windy. Okay, so that's that. What I want to do is we're gonna cook the meat. Is not going to take as long as the corn. And so I'm going to do a quick demo on cutting pineapple. Now there's a lot of different ways you can cut pineapple. I'm just going to show you one, my way. We're going to do spears, and we're going to grill them, and we're going to do some with our Jamaican seasoning, and we're going to do some with our brown sugar cinnamon sweetening. And I'm really excited for that. So I'm going to cut the top off there, just like that. Cut the bottom off so that it stands up nice and tall, okay? And now at this point, you could cut it in the middle, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut along the outside and trim off the outer layer. And then if you still see pokies out there, you can just trim them a little bit more, not a problem. But oh wow, it smells so good.
It does smell good.
Wow, it smells great. I'm a big pineapple fan. And pineapple reminds me of two things. Number one is Dole Whips at Disneyland, because the pineapple Dole Whip at Disneyland is phenomenal. And now I don't even remember the second thing because...
Tropical drinks, maybe? Other drinks?
Okay. Anyway, if I think of the second one, I'll tell you. But Disneyland trumps all. We'll just say that. So you have an inner hard core on every pineapple, right? So that is the part that you want to make sure you do not serve. It is edible, but it is not very pleasant to eat because you just sit there and chew it all day. So I'm just going to like cut that a little bit like that, and a little bit like that, and then that's gone, right? And then all we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing with that. And you could decide how thick you want these spears. I think I'm going to do them, you know, like kind of like that. That's like an inch or inch and a half spear or something like that. And then when I put those on, then we're going to season them up. We'll do some with the Jamaican, which we already have established is really good, and I've never done it with the brown sugar cinnamon sweetening yet, so I'm really excited about doing that. So I'm going to add some more stuff here. Let's see how we're doing. Make sure we're not, so you can see a little bit of a color going on there, and you can see that those are starting to color up too. And it's at this point where you can decide, well, are they in the right spot on the grill? Uh-oh. That's probably just fine. Whoops. And I'm going to put these on the cooler part. This is what I know is the cooler section of the grill. Okay, we're going to put the steaks on. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about beef. And right here, I've got some sirloin steaks. And if you want to talk about quality grades of beef, sirloins, you know, somewhere right in the middle. And you know, at the very top, you got your filet mignon. Right below it, I'd say you have your New York steak. It's part of a T-bone. So a T-bone steak has one side the New York strip and the other side a filet, but it's usually from the part of the tenderloin where the filet is the smallest. All the way to the other hand, where you have a porterhouse steak, and at the where you have it's still the New York strip, but the filet is much bigger. So the porterhouse is like your gourmet part of the. But if you want that pure tenderloin, that filet mignon, that is that entire strip there along that part back of the cow, and that's the part with the most tender. It's just like cutting through with butter if it's cooked right. And then you have the sirloin, and then you have other things like skirt steak and flank steak, which are on the underside of the cow. You use those for fajitas, stew, things like that. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is what do you want to season? We do Alvy's Incredible on the steak. Steak is good. We have a lot of options, but we're going to do the Alvy's Incredible, which is just our all-purpose seasoning.
So you season before it goes on?
So I am, in this case, I'm seasoning before it goes on. Now you don't have to, and sometimes you maybe don't want to. If you're going to be cooking it on high heat, which we're not doing it really high heat, we're doing kind of medium heat, that you don't want to burn the seasonings, right? So I'm just going to put it on there, and you can even put a little oil on there too if you want to, which maybe I'll put a little oil on there too.
So is this considered a dry rub?
Yeah, it's a dry rub. And a little oil will help get those marks a little bit nicer on that meat. And let's also put our chicken on. And now there's, you people have heard of USDA grades of beef. And so there's 7 different grades, just to FYI. And really the only 3 that we care about from a steak perspective is USDA Prime, USDA Choice, and USDA Select. Everything below that you're thinking about, you know, that's for stew, that's for other things, it can be for pet food and stuff like that. But for our purposes, there within those categories, then if you have a USDA Prime New York steak, that might even taste better than a fillet made from a lower grade of beef. So anyway, it matters the grade of beef. So we've got that on here. And chicken, I'm gonna drizzle a little oil on there so I don't touch that raw chicken. And then we're gonna put some seasoning. So I've done some skewers and some breasts, and we'll talk a little bit about skewers and cooking things just by themselves. So I was thinking we're gonna put some strong arm on this here. And this is like our all-purpose rub marinade. ARM stands for all-purpose rub marinade. It has a little bit of sweetness to it, and it's really popular on meats, but it's certainly good on a lot of other things as well.
Is it spicy?
This one's not. The super strong arm has a little bit of heat to it. The regular strong arm doesn't have a lot of heat. I'm gonna crank this up just a little. All right, there we go. I'll go ahead and put those on there.
Looking good.
All right. Now what I want to do is I want to get some butter on this corn here. Now what I've done is I have a little bit of melted butter, and it's mixed with some of our Alvy's Incredible seasoning. So I'm going to spread a little bit on that.
So how long would you end up cooking the corn?
It's gonna be like 15 minutes. Yeah.
Okay.
And it depends, because you know it could take a little bit longer or a little less time based on how hot your grill is.
Do you normally leave the lid open when you're grilling?
No, I'm gonna be closing this, and we're gonna let it cook for a little while. Yeah. You don't want to open and close it too often. It's fine if you need to open and close it. But the overall, it's not really a huge deal if it's open and closed a lot, because once you close it, it heats up super fast again. So those are cooking. When we have the pineapple, okay, I wanted to get these going on the grill. Let's do a few of them. Let's just do a couple of each. I'll do 2 at a time. So we'll do Jamaican on this one. The Jamaican seasoning already has a little bit of sweetness to it, so that's why it works well with this. It also works well with vanilla ice cream, and that was something that we were told by a customer early on in the process, and I didn't believe it at first, but it actually is really true. So a little Jamaican seasoning. So it has things like this one, clove and allspice and thyme, and it has some seasonings or some spices that are really friendly when they're blended with sweet. Looks like a salted caramel would work well. And so we're gonna go ahead.
Is that Jamaican spicy?
This one's not. We have a mild and spicy. In fact, we have mild and spicy of several of our seasonings.
Okay.
Okay.
Getting loaded.
Let's put a little mark on these guys here. And then you can see that grill mark there.
Yeah.
And then
Beautiful.
we'll just do a little cross section on that. I don't know how you guys like your meats, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about the temperatures of cooking here, because you know what's medium rare. Basically, I've heard a lot of techniques, from touching your various parts of your hand to times of cooking, but really, if you cut open a steak and it's 75% the same color it is when it started on the inside and just a little dark on the outside, that's rare. And then if it's 50% that red, that's medium rare. And then if it's 25% pink, that's medium. And then if it's just a trace of pink left, that's medium well. And then, of course, if there's no pink left at all, that's well done. And so that's just a general. Of course, you have to cut your steak open to know that. But I was going to say one more thing about temperature. Oh, yeah, well done steak. General guidelines from the USDA are to cook your beef to 160 degrees, which is well done. And so as we know that It's not practical to really cook a steak too well done all the time. And so most of the time, our bodies have become accustomed to eating red meat. And so I'm grateful for that. I want to flip this. There you go. So there's this nice
Smelling
steak.
good.
Okay.
Does chicken take longer to cook than steak or less? I mean, is it?
Well, again, a lot of it is based on how you can have a thinner steak and you can have a thicker piece of chicken, and it could take longer or less long. Generally speaking, though, chicken you do need to cook all the way through to 160 degrees or 165 degrees, is what they say on chicken. And so with chicken, you have a tendency to have problems with it being overcooked or tough because of being too dry. And so those are the issues we have with grilling chicken. With steak, we have the same issues, but because we tend to eat our steaks a little bit with red in the middle, we tend to err on the side of having them too red in the middle rather than too done. But just make sure that when it's done, there's none of that color. It's all white all the way through. So if you have cut it through and you got some of that opaque color in there, throw it back on by all means, because you really don't want to eat it. That's high risk situation.
You want to grab a couple more pineapples for the brown sugar cinnamon?
That's a good idea. And in fact, I'm going to put some shrimp on too.
Oh, great.
Ideally, guys, I would have a little spray bottle right here, and then you have a little spray water bottle, and that'll take care of those flare-ups that you have, especially if you're cooking high-fat things like burgers. You can have that little spray bottle. That'll take care of it. So let's do a couple with the brown sugar cinnamon. So we have our brown sugar cinnamon sweetening here. And I'm going to just put a little bit on the plate.
Brown sugar sweetening is really great. I like it in my oatmeal, my hot cereal. And it's also really good at making cookies like snickerdoodles. There's a lot of great things you can put it with. I put it on toast for cinnamon toast.
And of course, you could use it on your baked goods too, your cinnamon coffee cake, and all kinds of pies and stuff like that. You can use it to make your apple pie filling and things like that too. See, this side of my grill is the cold part. See, it's on higher than the other side. All the other sides it's on higher, but it's cooking way cooler. And so every grill is going to have those kind of things going on. So I'm going to move this back, and I'm going to get some. And I'm going to slap a little bit of this nice butter on top of that.
So do you normally oil the grill itself or just the food?
Is that a question?
Yeah, well, no, it's my question.
That's your question? Okay,
Yeah.
I was going to say that is a great question, because there's schools of thought on, do you oil the food, is it better, or do you oil the grill first, like with a towel? And the reality is you can do it either way. You can do whatever you want. A lot of times I will oil the grill first, especially if I know I'm cooking something that's really sensitive, and then I'll oil both, right?
Okay.
So you can do it either way, no problem. Okay, here's some shrimp. We got some shrimp skewers here, and these aren't going to take as long to cook. I'm going to move this here. That's a cooler spot, as you can see up in the front here. And so those I'm going to actually let go right there. Now with steak, one thing you want it to do is be able to sit at a cooler temperature before you serve it. So I'm just going to let it sit up there for a couple of minutes without letting it get too much more cooked. And okay. I was going to do these seasoned a few different ways. So I'm just going to put a little oil on these.
Yeah, I like quite a few different flavors on shrimp.
Yeah, I'm going to do the Cajun, I'm going to do the lemon pepper, and I'm going to do Italian for sure on these.
Sounds great.
I'm going to go ahead and do both sides on this because shrimp tends to stick to the grill a lot. Now, one thing I do recommend is if you have one, you can get them at like fairs and festivals, these like grill mats that you can actually put on top of the grill.
Oh yeah, these are
and
pretty
cook your
miraculous.
shrimp and fish and stuff like that. Very, very recommended. I'm not going to use it today because I've got too many different things on the grill, but that works great. Okay, so
Tracy McDonald want to know, how long do you cook the pineapple?
Well, like I said, it's going on the cold part of the grill right now, and it's you're talking about, if it's on a hotter part of the grill, about 2 to 3 minutes on each side. It's going to go a little bit slower but take a look at that. You can see it's getting a little bit of a grill mark there. But it's definitely not getting burnt or done, so it's definitely not in a hot part of the grill. So if I want those to cook a little bit faster, I'll move them to a hotter part.
Is it a little bit like shrimp, that it loses being kind of opaque and turns a little, or I mean, goes the opposite from being?
I probably wouldn't characterize it that way,
okay,
but it will get softer.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll get softer.
And I would imagine the outside, especially the brown sugar cinnamon, would get a little caramelized.
Yeah, that was what we hope, actually. We'd like that. So, okay, let's season these guys with some stuff. Here's our Italian. Let's do a little bit of Italian on... We'll remember what we're seasoning these as, so when we flip them, we're going to season on the other side there. Italian there, and then we'll do lemon pepper here.
Now, what's the benefit of doing a marinade versus just dry like this?
So a marinade is going to actually penetrate the meat. So you let it sit in the meat, it actually penetrates in, and then when you cook it, that flavor is already in the meat. And there's nothing wrong with either way, right? It depends on what you prefer. And you can do it both ways too. But when you cook it like this, what you're going to have is that flavor will be cooked into the meat while you're cooking it. And so it's going to be probably a more fuller, richer flavor when you do it with the marinade, but it might be a more intense flavor when you season on the grill.
Okay, that's a good explanation. I just want to show everyone how beautiful this is looking here. Got the pineapple with 2 different flavors on it, corn on the cob, shrimp with the several flavors, chicken.
Yeah, corn is just about done. I'm going to put a little bit more butter.
That's resting.
A little more butter. Because, you know, nothing wrong with a little butter.
No,
guys. I'm
butter's...
going to save some for the shrimp. Let that cook. Okay, so we got all that cooking. I'll have to cook the rest of the pineapple in a minute. Let me tell you really quick, we have some of our products on special this month. The number one would be our Grillers Pack, which is our 6 favorites for the grill. The Incredible, the Strong Arms, here, 2 of them.
Tip it down just a little bit. There we go, the sun, yeah.
All right, the Alvy's Inferno, the Cajun, and the Jamaican. Really good grillers, and this is on sale for $39 this month. It's regular $46. It's 6, and they're glass jars, guys, and so they're really durable.
So real quick, because I know a lot of people who are sensitive to spicy. Can you put it up for a second?
Yeah.
So the Jamaican and the Cajun and the strong, basically the only ones that are even spicy really are obviously the Alvy's Inferno, but the super strong arm.
These are mild. Even our Cajun is a mild Cajun.
Yeah, so most people can handle, but it's great to have that Alvy's Inferno for those who love the heat.
Yeah, so that's a nice one. We also have our 4-pack. If you go out to our website, you're going to see our 4-pack gift box. You can pick any 4 jars. We sell these for $30, okay? Get that in the box. And this is our newest product where we have our 6-jar travel set. You go out to the website and you can pick any 6 jars this size, travel size. It's $20. Okay, guys, so that's a great one for the RV, for the grad, for the Father's Day. Anyway, $20, so that's a really good one. All right, it's free shipping over $50 orders, guys. Let's see how our things are going here.
What was in the butter again?
The butter is just melted butter with Alvy's Incredible. Okay, and I'm going to get these cooking on a little bit hotter part now. Serve up a nice little steak dinner right here, okay? So here's our...
So anybody watching, do you guys have any concerns or questions about grilling in general that Adrian could answer for you? He's given lots of great tips already, but
grabbing my potato.
It's always good to know what people want to learn about.
Okay, so here we go. We got our steak. We got our potato. A nice little baked potato and steak right there, guys.
Oh yeah, that looks great.
I'm gonna put some butter right in there. Okay. And guys, you can do this also. I'm gonna put a little tiny bit of this Alvy's Inferno right on top of that steak, okay? Just a little bit. And I'm gonna try it here. There's one down. All right, so this is a sirloin steak, guys.
So when it comes to steak, what other flavors do you think would be, out of our seasonings, would be best with steak?
Sorry, the Alvy's Incredible is like the #1 on everything. It's a great, just all-purpose. Strong arm is really popular, super strong arm on steak. Cajun and Jamaican are as well. Basically, the ones in the Grillers pack are the really good ones. I'm gonna try that. You know, it's great to be American. It is great to be an American, to be able to eat steak and potatoes, because that is so good.
American. Yeah, I'm gonna get a little closer look at this beautiful steak once you're done.
Okay, sorry, I was just putting some strong arm on there.
It looks beautiful.
Okay, I'm flipping some of this shrimp here.
Oh yeah, let's take a look at the shrimp.
And then you can see now it's on the hotter part. It's not taking quite as long to cook there.
So as much as I love going out to eat, sometimes it's nice just to hang back home and have food that's just as good and a lot less money.
Okay.
It smells wonderful.
So we're gonna put our seasonings on these again here. This was our lemon pepper one. And our Italian one. And our corn is done, guys.
So how do you tell when the corn is done? Other than just it
That's a good question.
It looks it.
So how do you tell when it's done in the boiling pot, right? Do you know that, or because?
Well, tell us.
Basically, it is when you can touch the kernels and they feel like they're soft, and because that's
They have a little
perfect right
give?
there. And you can see it has the nice char marks, but it's not like burnt. You know, that might be a little bit too much right there, but overall, that's just a really nice looking piece right there. And then I'm gonna see what's going on back here with these guys. They're doing good. There's our chicken. It's done. A little other slap right there. Okay.
Another great idea you can do with the seasonings is if you wanted to make any kind of side dipping sauce
So
for
there you go.
anything.
Those are some nice chicken
Oh yeah, beautiful.
right there. Okay, I want to get these there. I want to get these right there in a little hotter spot. You guys are good right there. Okay, now let's do our corn. I'm going to take that other piece off.
Crystal, just so you know, the butter was mixed with just a little bit of Alvy's Incredible, but you could put any flavor in there with your butter, whatever. Alvy's Incredible being all-purpose goes with, mixes really nice with any of the flavors. So if you're adding other seasonings to your food, you're not gonna throw the flavor profile off at all by putting the Alvy's Incredible in the butter.
Okay, so I put some Italian on the corn right before
Italian?
as I was cooking it. So I'm going to put a little bit more Italian seasoning on there just before we take a little bite. Okay, and that's right there ready to go.
One thing you can do even when you're not grilling your corn is make a flavored butter to soften the butter. Put whatever flavor, like Italian and Cajun's good, Alvy's Incredible, and you can spread that on your corn on the cob and eat it that way as well.
Okay.
I can't wait to try that pineapple.
I know I'm excited about that too. And so you can also take your shrimp here. So let's just take this as our lemon pepper shrimp. And just like that. You know, you got it
Nice.
over some rice.
Beautiful.
That's really nice right there. Okay. Or you can do whatever you want with that. And guys, what I've done with the shrimp here is this is peeled and deveined, but I left the tail on because it looks nicer on the skewer with the tail on.
How do you keep your skewers from like burning up and falling apart?
Skewers?
The wood skewers.
Well, you soak them in water first, yeah. I soak them in water for about 20 minutes. Now on shrimp, these ones wouldn't have had a problem either way because it usually doesn't take shrimp long enough to cook. If you're doing steak or chicken skewers like we're doing, it becomes more important to do it that way.
Good to know.
These guys are all ready to go. And guys, a little butter never hurts, because even if you cook something and overcook it, a little butter often it'll work the kinks right out of that and
Add a little
moisten it
moisture.
up again. Yeah. I'm serving plates here. No, I'm not.
I'll mention too, I know that you brought out a universal recipe card. That's another great thing that comes with all of the seasoning blends. It gives you an idea of how much per pound if you're going to do the dry rub or the marinade. And all the flavors can be used interchangeably with all the recipes there. So that's always really handy.
Okay, there we go. So there's our pineapple and there's our chicken.
Good.
Okay.
Uh-oh. Our dog almost had a big treat.
You can look, it's really nice.
It is beautiful. Mm-mm-mm. Crystal says she's thinking about throwing some of the Alvy's Incredible in her broccoli and cauliflower and air frying them, which would be wonderful.
Fantastic idea. I'm just going to move this out of the way right
Yeah,
here.
for me, having Alvy's Incredible on the veggies in general really makes them sing. I love, love, love how much better the veggies taste when...
Okay, I'm going to try a little bite
that.
here. This is one of each. And honestly, I can't remember which one this was. Jamaican, I think. Brown sugar cinnamon. Wow.
So a lot of times when I go like to Tucanos, the Brazilian barbecue, the pineapple is one of my very favorite items. So
Okay. The brown sugar cinnamon one it's off the charts. The Jamaican one's fantastic because it adds a little savory element to that pineapple. Because these are just the right flavor. But I think I'm really, really sold. I'm gonna let Jen try this.
okay, I get to try, guys.
Brown sugar cinnamon. It's really hot though.
That's sweet of you to blow it for me.
Here we go.
Oh my goodness. Oh, my mouth is bursting. Oh my gosh. Okay,
If you have brown sugar cinnamon sweetening at home,
try it.
try it. Try it on grilled pineapple.
Wow.
Do it now.
My,
If you don't have it, get the brown sugar cinnamon seasoning and try it on grilled pineapple. It's so good.
you won't regret it. Well, are there any other questions? Those are watching. I think we're getting about to the end.
By the steak here.
I want to take a quick look at the corn on the cob. Do you want to
Oh yeah, that's what we
show
wanted
that?
to do. Yeah.
We've got...
Okay, so here's the corn.
Nice.
It's cooked just right. The flavor you get a little bit of char. You never get that flavor with the boiled corn, and so that's only available by grilling. And it mixes so well with the seasoning and the butter, and it cooks it in its own way. It's a little bit different, right? And
Yeah.
it's dry. It's a drier cook, right?
Lots of flavor.
And then we take that off.
Oh, it's totally steaming. It's so hot.
We've got that beautiful corn right there. And I've got a little bit of this butter left. I'm going to spread some of this butter on there.
The great thing is, Crystal's like, can you come cook for me?
I'm gonna,
Well, with the seasonings, it makes it easy enough. Anybody can do it.
Sure does. Okay, let's see if it's cooked right. The difference between this one and this one is this one has much higher moisture
Okay,
than this one because the corn has kept the moisture in.
good to know.
And so you can actually kind of tell that one of them looks like the kernels are a little bigger and more retained more
Yep.
moisture.
Yep. A little plumper.
And one is not better than the other. It's just a different
little
kind of
different.
corn, right? One with a charred taste. This one has still a little bit of that charred taste, but it has a fuller texture.
Okay.
Really good. Okay, so that's grilling for today. Save the Day cooking class. I'm your host, Adrian Alvey. I look forward to doing more of these all the time.
Quick question before you get off. Do you have any tips or tricks for getting silk off the husk without the husk coming off? Oh, without the husk coming off, because you pulled the silk out.
Yes, so there's a couple tricks you can do. Number one is be real careful when you pull it down. Number two, the silk does not tend to go all the way down to the bottom. It tends to only go about halfway, 2/3 the way down. So if you can pull it just a little bit off, you can grab that silk and pull it up on out. You could do a lot better than having to pull all the way down.
Okay.
So you can cheat a little bit that way.
Great.
All right, let me see. Maybe I missed something here. I got all that. I think I got it all. So thank you guys. Thanks for tuning in again tonight. I look forward. If you have any suggestions or desires for any other topics,
Yeah, I don't see anything. Just know that those griller packs are on special. Great for Father's
through
Day.
June, right?
Yeah, all the way through this
All
month.
June.
So $39 for 6 jars is awesome. Recipe cards included.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a
Thank
great
you.
night.
Bye-bye.